Let's take a look at tonight's McDonald's starting lineup. Dirk Nowitzki, who never got in a groove in game one, scoring only 2 points in quarter number 4. But Devin Harris is starting in place of Adrian Griffin in a lineup change for Avery Johnson, the coach of the Mavericks. For the San Antonio Spurs, Tim Duncan dominating with 31 points in game number 1. And Tony Parker, the problem, a left quad contusion. Questionable as to whether he would play. It's been wrapped up and will be in the starting lineup.
I think now Devin Harris can pick up Tony Parker full and put some full court pressure on him to try to wear him down. When you have leg injuries like that through the course of a 48-minute game, it kind of wears you down.
Steve Javy, Eddie F. Rush, and David Jones are officials underway, and the tip controlled by the Spurs, winning 87-85. Here is Duncan, and fouled on the first play of the game.
Shouldn't got the early foul on Dirk.
And Duncan misses. Avery Johnson, who said he did not like his offense, and he said the problem was not what to do against Duncan and the others, but scoring points, as you point out.
Well, that's why you try to speed up the game as much as possible. You bring in your talented young guard in Devin Harris to try to get some easy fast break opportunities.
Nowitzki hitting his first shot. Dirk Nowitzki only 8 of 20 and missing 8 of 11 in the second half.
Well, it's going to be curious to see how many times he touches the basketball in his 4 sweet spots. Right there, that was one of his sweet spots. Curious to see how Bruce Bowen is going to defend him when he gets it into those areas.
And Harris guarding Parker. Duncan setting the screen, the pass off his hands. And on the turnover, here comes Jason Terry, picked up by Robert Horry on the switch.
And these are the opportunities that the Mavs need to capitalize on. Fast break opportunities off turnovers.
Josh Howard tips it in. So Josh Howard with the tip in. Howard coming off a 17-point effort, has played very well against the Spurs throughout the season.
Yeah, and he had 12 of those in the first quarter. Got off to a really good start. And I think the Mavs kind of went away from him the rest of the 3 quarters.
Terry guarding Ginobili, and now trapped for the moment. Nowitzki picking up Ginobili on the drive, knocked away. And here come the Mavericks with a 3-on-1 only. Bowen is back, and Howard puts it through. So a quick start by the Dallas Mavericks.
Tony Parker has a left quad contusion that he suffered in game 1. Well, he also told me that he is bothered by a right thigh strain, and he's also a strained right hip. Tonight he'll be wearing compression tights. He says he's operating around 80%. He said his 2 main concerns tonight is number 1, once he comes out the game, is his legs tightening up, and number 2, Dick and Reggie, he said if he's hit in that left quad, he's not sure he'll be able to get up, guys.
All right, Cheryl, and of course the Spurs have been fighting injuries to Duncan and Ginobili and Parker, annoying injuries during the course of the year. Dirk Nowitzki making the free throw, the technical foul called against Greg Popovich, arguing over what he thought was a foul when Ginobili drove to the basket. On the turnover, the 3rd of the game for the Spurs. Unusual for them in the first 2 minutes of the game.
Because everyone knows where his injury's at. I don't care how much padding you wear. Jason Terry and Devin Harris definitely know he has leg problems, so he's going to get hit.
And Harris going up, the ball blocked away. Good call. They got it right.
And that's good officiating right there. When you huddle together, they're a team as well. Definitely Devin Harris got in there and the one off him, and referees huddle up. Good decision.
And the foul to Tim Duncan's aggressiveness.
Oh, well. Ghana's in there to play defense, and it doesn't matter if he gets in foul trouble because you have really, Binga doesn't play a lot of minutes, but when needed, when the other 2 get in foul trouble, he can come in and play spots minutes, what he did. But you got to give credit to Tim Duncan. He put them all in foul trouble by being aggressive, getting into their chest.
Here's the double team on Duncan, and Duncan scores. That was the first field goal attempt by the Spurs, and they made it count, and the Mavericks leading by 4.
And that is so tough to defend. Anytime you can neutralize a shot blocker by creating havoc, by getting into their body, that's what Tim Duncan does so well.
Howard driving in, and the ball off the rim, and on the miss. And here come the Spurs. They'll take advantage. They are not a half-court team. They like to push it up with the likes of Ginobili and Parker. Here is Duncan, single coverage, and now doubled up. Extra pass to Bowen in the corner, hits the 3. It was Bruce Bowen who hit the big 3-pointer that really put the Spurs in a position to win the game, and of course the great defensive stop at the end. And driving in for the layup is Harris. So it's 9-6 in favor of the Mavericks. Game 2 of the best of 7 before the scene shifts to Dallas for games 3 and 4. Horry starting and has been the starting forward or center since game 5 of the Sacramento series. And the shot by Duncan doesn't go.
And a lot of incidental contact right there by Josh Howard. He easily could have been called for a foul.
Howard shot off the rim, anticipates it well, gets his own rebound. Here is Terry against Duncan, and Jop tips it in on the follow. And
Avery Johnson picks up a technical foul.
Right, the technical foul, one apiece in there. You see the sly smile on the face.
You know, it's a tight whistle. It's a playoff game. These officials are letting everyone know that they're in control, which is great. You know, they're not going to take a lot of lip tonight.
They called a couple of fouls on the Mavericks away from the ball just a few moments ago, so they're calling this one tight, make no mistake. Here is Ginobili. Duncan against Jop, knocked away by Harris, and the reach-in foul. Dampier got into foul trouble himself, scored 2 points, but had 10 rebounds and 3 offensive rebounds.
But 5 big blocks.
And the loose ball, 4 on the shot clock. Duncan against Dampier, one-handed and banks it in. How many years was that a familiar play for Duncan, usually on the other side of the court, though?
Right, but it's still a bank shot, and that is his favorite shot. We talk about all sweet spots. Dirk Nowitzki has 4 of them. Tim Duncan has 2 of them. And even Bruce Bowen has 2 of them. The easy deep threes from the corners. So. And
Howard going up with it, and it's knocked away, and a foul is called as Ginobili goes out with.
Yeah, Dick, I really thought the Mavs kind of went away from him in quarters 2, 3, and 4 of game 1. I wish they kind of would have kept him offensively in the game. I thought he had a brilliant first quarter, but you know, they kind of shied away from him the rest of the way.
They did. Only 3 points in the second half for Josh Howard, and shot 5 of 10, and the Spurs turn it over again. So 4 turnovers by the Spurs in the first quarter, and we're not even halfway through.
And that's twice that they've tried to go on back door, and they've read it wrong. The 2 big men, Tim Duncan and Robert Horry.
4-point lead for Dallas. The 3-point attempt by Howard, and the rebound by Duncan. Spurs this year had a record of 34-7 at home, tied with the Mavericks for the second best home record in the league, behind the Detroit Pistons. And the question is, Reggie, can they take advantage of it?
Quad injury, stepped it up offensively. But if you have an Achilles heel for the Spurs, it would have to be their free throw shooting. 28th in the league. Come close games, you got to be able to make your free throws down the stretch.
Jerry Stackhouse, who was the high scorer for the Mavericks, a sensational offensive game with 24 points, has come in the game. Dirk Nowitzki hitting his second from the perimeter. And Nowitzki now with 5 points. In the games that the Mavericks beat the Spurs, Nowitzki averaged 32 points. He scored 23 and 14 in the 2 losses. There's Parker driving in for the layup. So Parker, who likes to go down the lane, went baseline that time and cutting the deficit to 3. Under 6 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Dick Stockton, Reggie Miller, Cheryl Miller with you here on TNT. Here's Howard against Horry, and the basket counts and the foul. So Nazir Muhammad come in for Tim Duncan, who goes out with 6 points, hitting 2 of 3 from the field. And Howard, with a 3-point play, has 9 points. Go along with 3 offensive rebounds. A very aggressive start, which is exactly what Avery Johnson wants.
Well, you want to speed up the tempo. You need 30-point quarters against the Spurs.
Parker from outside doesn't go, and coming out of the loose ball is Josh Howard. So he has been the key man for the Mavericks early on. Almost a bad pass, and it was a bad pass to Stackhouse as it's picked up by the Spurs. In the corner, Bruce Bowen. Bank shot doesn't go. Spurs get back defensively. Howard into the corner. Here's Terry for 3. Rebound by Barry. Quick pass to Parker. Dampier is back, and Parker won't challenge him.
Good looks for the Mavs. This is exactly what you want. This is the kind of tempo that you want.
Josh Howard very nearly got the ball away from Brent Barry. He has been quick, aggressively so in the start. Here is Parker missing the shot. So Parker's gotten a couple of good looks here, but unable to score. Here's Terry going strong to the hoop and gets the basket. No question that not only the speed, but aggressiveness to go to the rim. Parker at the other side. Sensational basket by Tony Parker as he ends up on the floor.
And look how quick the Mavs get the ball out the basket and up the floor.
Nowitzki misses a three, and only white jerseys underneath to bring it up. So a fevered pace here at the start with nearly 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. Here's Parker with the runner out of bounds. 6-point lead for the Mavericks. Stackhouse defended by Brent Barry. Plenty of time on the shot clock. And they're going to call the foul. Let's see if Bruce Bowen got in the way of Dirk Nowitzki. He did pick up 2 early fouls and had to come out. Here is a great pass from Dampier to Howard. Nazir Muhammad with the personal foul. And you pointed out, well, 8 assists, not much. Missed free throw. And they're going to call the foul. And Avery Johnson said, look, you know, we're not an assist team, but we are a ball movement team. We didn't finish enough on the ball movement.
Well, I mean, 8 assists is not going to cut it. And when your point guard, Jason Cherry, only has 1 assist, those are bad signs. And you only lose the game by 2 points, Dick.
Brent Barry missing in the paint. Into the corner, Stackhouse for 3. Jerry Stackhouse hitting a 3 with under 3.5 minutes remaining. He hit 1 of 2 3-pointers for the Mavericks in game number 1. Avery Johnson looking to get Daniels more playing time in this game number 2. Lead is 11. And the feed inside to Duncan from Barry. Duncan now has 8 points to lead the Spurs.
Great look, high-low from Barry down to Tim Duncan. Good steal by Tim Duncan.
Terry challenging Duncan, got a hand on it and knocked it out of bounds.
He goes out, then Bruce Bowen gets his rest. He has to save all his energy and fouls when Dirk's on the floor.
Here is Stackhouse. In and out, the offensive rebound by Dampier.
They're letting him play. They're letting him play, Dick.
They didn't early, but they are now. Here is Parker inside with a teardrop. Tony Parker has 6 points. Michael Finley has checked in to the lineup for the Spurs, the former Dallas Maverick, and now Avery Johnson wants to talk it over.
Because they will fall into San Antonio's hands if they try to play a half-court game.
You know, guys, everyone's been talking about how they've improved their defense. If everyone says defense, defense, this is a team that scored 99 a game during the regular season, held to 85 in game 1. That's well below what they want to score. Ginobili with Duncan, Parker, Brent Barry, and Michael Finley. Duncan the leading scorer with 8 points for the Spurs. Parker at the baseline, and the basket would have counted. Phoenix and the Clippers. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern time. Duncan with the free throws has 10 points. Under 2 minutes remaining. Finley is on Nowitzki, giving up a lot of size. Nowitzki tries to take advantage of it. Misses his shot. And here come the Spurs. They were down by as many as 11. But they have scored the last 6 points. Parker going up. Deflected inside by Dampier.
Nice block there by Eric Dampier. Way to control the lane in the paint.
And as you mentioned, 5 blocks in the last game. A career playoff high for Eric.
You know, I like the matchup with Dirk with Finley on Dirk. Dirk has to be aggressive. When you ain't got Bruce Bowen on you, when you see anyone else other than Bruce Bowen on you, you've got to be aggressive offensively.
Here is the clear out with Duncan guarded by Dampier. Ginobili misses the layup. He had Nowitzki guarding him. So as we approach a minute remaining, here's Devin Harris starting tonight's game for Adrian Griffin. Nowitzki tries to force the pass inside to Dampier. Replaced by Josh Howard, who's the high scorer in the game with 11. Meanwhile, Zaganis Diop, who has 2 fouls himself, has come into play center. And Nick Van Exel making his first appearance for the Spurs. An 8-0 run by San Antonio with under a minute to go in the first quarter.
San Antonio has gone small with Tim Duncan playing center.
Here is Daniels. Double team. Tough shot by Daniels off the front rim. And taken down by Duncan finally. Very difficult shot against a stifling defense going away from the rim. Here's Ginobili. 3-point attempt doesn't go, and now pushing it up is Howard. Spurs get back defensively.
Yeah, but Ginobili was going for the 2-for-1 opportunity right there, so just get a shot up.
And Barry fouls Stackhouse.
We want to establish an outside game, hitting the outside shots.
They were shooting 86% in the first round of the playoffs, and 1 out of 2 for Stackhouse. They missed 9 free throws, and that played a big role in them not winning that close game.
Well, Dick, we covered them in round 1 against Memphis, and it seemed like they couldn't miss from the free throw line. So it's very uncharacteristic for a Mavericks and Avery Johnson-led team to miss so many free throws in crucial situations.
Final seconds of the first quarter. Parker finding Ginobili. Ginobili for 3, and the rebound. Final seconds, and that'll do it. But you made a great point. The Mavericks were in position to get 30 points. They were up 25-14, but in the last 4 minutes scored only 1 point. Greg Popovich said he used that disadvantage for the early start to get his team going. He says, you know, we had a bunker mentality. He says, look, we have home court advantage. 163 games, and looking what they're asking
what the
us
league
to do.
does to us.
Right.
They put us on the early game, so he loves that bunker mentality. He just doesn't want to let down in game 2 from that.
And Josh Howard picking up where he left off at the opening stanza. Now with 13 points, you saw the shooting is down, which could be a credit to the defenses as the Spurs shooting 41% to only 37 for Dallas. 6-point lead for the Mavericks. Michael Finley with Nick Van Exel, the 2 new faces on the Spurs this year, both former Mavericks. And here is Duncan going to get it. Jop will pick up his 3rd, 9th and 10th attempts. There were very few games that free throw shooting really undid them at the end. They seemed to make them when they needed it toward the end of the game.
And the right people on the line at the time. Ginobili, Parker, you know, even Tim Duncan made free throws when they had to, but they seemed to miss it early in the game. But when the game is on the line, they seem to make them.
He's hit his last 7. So you're right about that. Stackhouse working it against Ginobili, and Jerry Stackhouse now with 6 points in the game. 6-point lead. Van Exel along with Finley, Duncan, Ginobili, and Robert Horry for the Spurs. Harris, Stackhouse, Dampier, Howard, and Marquise Daniels for Dallas. Horry guarded by Stackhouse, and a steal by Howard. Howard with the runner gets his own rebound.
I like the decision there by Marquise Daniels. He easily could have drove it back in there and forced another shot, but let's run some clock. We have shooters and scorers out there. Take the ball to the basket.
Harris does exactly that.
They need to keep him involved, and he needs to keep himself involved and be aggressive offensively.
Nearly 2 minutes elapsed in the second quarter. The lead is 8 after the Spurs timeout. Nick Van Exel spent a year and a half with the Mavericks. And here is Daniels,
as he liked to call himself.
and wanted to play with the Spurs to see if he can get a championship ring before his career ends. Here is Finley, wants to do the same thing. Michael Finley, who said he's not emotional about playing the Dallas Mavericks. He says that we went through that in the first 2 regular season games.
Yeah, if anyone wants to be Dallas, though, it's Michael Finley. He's part of the amnesty clause was waived by Mark Cuban.
3-pointer by Stackhouse, his second. So I guess there is a little bit of payback he wants.
You want to beat your former team. And that was a great veteran move that Michael Finley did coming off that screen. He froze Josh Howard and then took one dribble into the lane for the jump hook.
9-point lead now for the Mavericks. And there's Ginobili faking and not going for it. There was Daniels. Here's the runner by Manu Ginobili. So Manu Ginobili, who's had all sorts of ailments, missed 17 games this year, hitting his first field goal with 3 minutes gone here in the second quarter.
And Eric Dampier has to show higher on that pick and roll. He can't wait around in the paint.
Howard driving in the lane with a runner himself. Again battling for the offensive rebound. And Dirk Nowitzki coming back in the game. Manu Ginobili replaced by Bruce Bowen. So Nowitzki has scored just 5 points in 11 minutes of action, but the Mavericks have the lead. Daniels against Duncan, and will go to the lines to shoot 2. A technical has been called, and Steve Javie has called a technical foul.
Jason Terry, Devin Harris, Marquise Daniels.
had to sit out the 4th game against the Memphis Grizzlies.
We knew they were going to make some kind of adjustment, whether it be Marquise Daniels into the starting lineup. It turned out to be Devin Harris. But Marquise Daniels needs also to be aggressive offensively because he's one of those players that can put pressure on you at both ends of the court.
Well, the Mavericks have so far solved their free throw shooting woes. They're 8 of 9 from the line and leading by 10, and the ball knocked away.
But in this series, you need to run and you need your best athletes out there.
So you don't want a grueling kind of matchup, which is what you get with Griffin. And here is Duncan against Nowitzki. Couple of fakes, puts it in. Nowitzki trying to avoid his 2nd foul, but Tim Duncan has 16 points. In game 1, had 20 of the first 40 points scored by the Spurs.
And that is what they call 1 7-footer, putting another 7-footer in the hoop. That's exactly what he did to Dirk Nowitzki.
Howard missing the layup as he drove down the middle. So the Spurs making a run. And Van Exel trying to draw the foul. Takes the 3. No foul there on the Mavericks. Crowd not happy with that non-call.
Back out. Let him go one-on-one with Nick Van Exel.
And Nowitzki nearly walked on that one. And a 10 on the shot clock.
He's in his sweet spot.
And we'll have a Spurs foul.
Who said this wasn't a contact sport? But look, Avery Johnson has to be happy with this tempo.
Without question.
He's throwing someone out of here. He's just thrown Nick Van Exel out of here. Double technical. He's gone.
So Nick Van Exel still with some words for Steve Javie. He is the backup point guard for Tony Parker on the free throw line, hitting.
And Jess Kersey. Those 3 officials, because they had Dick Mavetta, I should say, they have the longevity. They've seen so many playoff games. There's no excuse for that.
Stackhouse going up, foul, because, you know, why did Bruce Bowen do such a good job? Comments saying it was more about our offense, which I'm not sure exactly what that means, and then credited Bruce Bowen with outstanding defense. But this is what he said after Sunday's game 1.
Yeah, it's not like it's bear hug defense and that he was going to try to teach Dirk in practice what bear hug meant. And then for him to change tunes and say he was talking about his offense, I think he was kind of softening his stance. But so far it's worked. I don't know if it's been had any influence on the officials, but they're getting the call.
Parker with another acrobatic shot. Tony Parker with some sensational layups inside and cutting the lead to 8. Parker 50% from the field, has 8 points. Here is Josh Howard for 3, and he's got it. Josh Howard with 16 points, hitting the 3rd three-pointer of the game for the Mavericks. They only had 2 in the opening contest.
And I said that's the one thing that he's improved vastly this year is his outside shot. He is such a triple threat type of player.
Jason Terry committed the foul, and now they're going to call Duncan with the offensive foul.
Tim Duncan picks up his 3rd foul. Let's see what the Spurs react. 6:15 left in this 2nd quarter.
Terry misses shots inside, and the foul is called. Game in this first half, Reggie, as we
create a tempo and style. They have getting out fast break points, loose balls, and creating havoc and silencing this crowd.
And the biggest lead of the game for Avery Johnson's Mavericks, trying to draw even at 1-1. The team split the regular season 2 apiece. Josh Howard with 18 points, with help from Stackhouse with 10. Nowitzki hasn't really exploded yet, still quiet offensively. Parker going in again, and rebound by Nowitzki. Tony Parker has been penetrating effectively. Not that time. Here is Howard. He's been hot. 3-point attempt doesn't go. Finley with a rebound.
And I thought he should have took that one off the dribble. He had Robert Horry running at him.
Here, down low is Horry, and Horry misses the layup on the feed from Finley. Crowd wondering why no foul on Horry. Under 5.5 to play. Tough skip pass made by Howard. They go into Nowitzki, and Dirk Nowitzki with a good pass that time.
Unfortunate, that wasn't an and one right there. I thought Finley got a little bit of wrist right there, but they're letting them play at both ends.
15-point lead, biggest. And there is Parker inside against Terry. There is Nazir Muhammad, and when he was a starter this year, when he took over at center, and have lanes for the slashers, Parker and Ginobili.
Well, a lot of that was Tony Parker going to Popovich and said, look, I need more lanes to get into the lane. He needs to create. Robert Horry extends the defense because this man has to come out and Tony Parker can get into the lane and for those teardrop shots.
With one free throw, it's a 47-33 game. Bowen is on Nowitzki, lost his footing and throws it away. Bruce Bowen, who named to USA Basketball, one of 23 players and the oldest at age 35 because of his defensive savvy and his ability to play team basketball. Manu Ginobili ready to come back in the game. Here's Finley and Howard getting the rebound. Howard with 18 points, working against Finley into the corner. Here's Stackhouse with another three. That's Stackhouse's third three-pointer from the corner tonight, and it opens up a 17-point Dallas advantage.
Drive and dish. Drive and dish. That's been the memo for these guards. Get into the paint, and when they collapse, knock it out to the three-point shooters.
Parker trying to get a basket or at least a foul from Nowitzki, gets neither. And with under 4 minutes to go, here's Devin Harris on the run, and the foul called against Parker.
For Avery Johnson, let's attack the paint, either to score ourselves or to dish it out to our shooters.
On NBA.com or AOL.com/NBA Now for your exclusive player previews and analysis along with the best from Kenny, Charles, and EJ on NBA.com or AOL.com/NBA. 1 out of 2 for Harris. He has 5, and Ginobili gets inside, but he doesn't convert. And here is Nowitzki. Fouled by Barry.
You don't want to dig yourself too big of a hole if you're the Spurs. Been outscored 9-1 since Tim Duncan's been on the bench, trying to find someone who's going to put the ball in the basket for the Spurs team.
And Barry with 3 fouls. Van Exel thrown out of the game, so the bench is thin for the Spurs.
Hey, I can't be mad if I'm Avery Johnson right there. That's pretty good defense. And the officials are calling it kind of tight.
Well, you know, but are they letting him play or are they calling it tight? It looks like we're getting both of them.
Well, in stretches, you know, they're doing it in stretches. So I know they have a short whistle tonight because they're not taking any lip from anyone, coaches or players.
Spurs do not have a field goal since Tim Duncan went out with his 3rd foul. We approach 3 minutes to go, and it's Bowen knocking the ball away and getting the steal. Bruce Bowen, who is second behind Ben Wallace for Defensive Player of the Year. And here's Brent Barry with a 3-point attempt short.
No, that's not what he's looking for right there. You don't dribble 5 times and then step back for a 3.
Mavericks were up by 20 moments ago. Harris with the drive gets the basket. So Devin Harris getting the start tonight, and only started 4 during the regular season, has 7 points. And again, a 20-point lead.
Yeah, and if I'm Avery Johnson, I'm so happy. You make adjustments and they come through. They work. You actually see them working on the floor, attack the paint. You got to be happy.
So Spurs still without a basket since Tim Duncan went out of the game. We approach 2 minutes to go. Harris. And the rebound by Nazir Muhammad, called with the push-off.
That was a first year of playoff experience.
Advantage in this round since the Spurs were extended by Sacramento. But if this series goes long, it could have an effect on the Spurs to play 2 long series in the first 2 rounds.
That's where they have the advantage. They don't have the advantage in games 1 and 2 unless they win one of them. But if it gets to games 6 and 7, fatigue sets in for San Antonio, and that's when those 3 or 4 days that for sweeping that first round series will pay off for Dallas.
Beno Udrih, we said with Van Exel out with the 2 technical fouls, assumes the role of backup point guard, and driving in is fouled.
All right, thank you, Dick. Southwest Airlines.
I mean, they're doing a fantastic job.
We'll just keep magic here until Kenny and Charles to stay in the green room. Back to you, Dick.
All right, Ernie.
I know what you mean, Ernie. I've been in that seat many a times, and you can't find Kenny or Charles.
Fabricio Oberto, who was the #1 pick and the oldest rookie that the Spurs have had at age 31 from Argentina, has come in, and Nazir Muhammad gets fouled.
No Parker on the floor.
3 points after those 2. Muhammad makes 1 out of 2. Rebound by Nowitzki. So 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining in the first half. The Mavericks, who are up by 21 just seconds ago, trying to open up their biggest lead in what has been a huge first half for them on the road here in San Antonio. Here's Griffin, wide open. Wild shot, and lost by Udrih, and off the knee. You had said that the Mavericks need to score 30 points in a quarter, and they have achieved that here in the second quarter.
Well, I said they need 30 plus one quarter. It'd be great if they can get it in 2 quarters, but that's what they need.
6 minutes and 15 seconds ago.
And they really gave the starters a break.
Did you see that look on Greg Popovich?
Picking up full court, try to see if they can get a turnover in this last 50 seconds.
And a quiet AT&T Center here in San Antonio. Mavericks losing a heartbreaker in game 1, trying to go home even 1-1. Here is Dirk Nowitzki against Alberto, and Nowitzki now with 13 points, so 31 between the starting forwards. Josh Howard and Dirk Nowitzki, again a 20-point lead. Under a half a minute. Ginobili fouled.
Them have been getting in the paint. Dallas Mavericks are, I believe, like 18-0.
21 seconds plus remaining in the first half. And remember that Greg Popovich said, what worries me is the emotional aggressiveness which we had in game 1 won't be here because we were primed. Everything was stacked against us in the first game on Sunday. I worry about a letdown, and he had good reason to, at least through the first half. Ginobili has it knocked away, and Udrich on the final shot.
San Antonio, which has shot the 3 particularly well against Sacramento, has been non-existent in the first 2 games against Dallas.
All right, what did Pop have to say? Do we have any idea, Cheryl?
Goodness, Pop was in rare form. He said, you know what, Cheryl, someone once told me basketball is a contact sport, and we played that first half like it was a tennis match. He said, give Dallas a lot of credit. They drove the ball down our throats. He goes, Cheryl, bottom line is we're just happy to win game 1. Well, what about game 2, guys?
That's exactly right, as Dirk Nowitzki starts the scoring with his 15th point of the game and a 60-38 lead. So Greg Popovich understandably upset as Ginobili goes down hard. He's only won the gold medal with Arch, an exciting player, but guy gets hit and gets hurt.
But he's put a lot of mileage on that body from playing in world international competition, winning that gold medal, same year winning a championship. You know, he plays with a reckless abandon, so his body is always going to be beat down come postseason time.
7 points for Manu Ginobili. Here is Nowitzki. Open is Harris.
And that's going to have to be his next stage of development, is coming up with a better 15 to 18-foot jump shot.
And here's Duncan. You said, how do you get back? Go to Duncan, the double team, and the ball is knocked away. Ginobili has his shot blocked. Here is Josh Howard with the short jumper.
And what Avery Johnson's going to do, Dick, every time now, they're going to double Tim. They're going to let someone else beat him now.
Not a bad idea. When you think about Parker 4 for 10 and Ginobili 1 for 5 in the first half, Rick.
Double him every single time.
They're doing it here and losing the ball out of bounds.
Boom. With Parker, the quad, little fingers by Tim Duncan. They all add up.
Parker hitting the jumper. Parker with 11 points. 18-point lead for the Mavericks, led by 20 at intermission. Devin Harris, who started the game, in there with Josh Howard, Dirk Nowitzki, and a blocking foul.
Driving right to a strong hand. Robert Horry.
The Mavericks are a perfect 18-0 this year. He's got 20. And the lead is 20. 62-42, opening minutes, third quarter.
Well, you know, you can't get it all back at one time. You got to be able to chip it away. You got to look at it and try to get it to 10. And on my school, I think centers should never take charges anyways. They're too big. Take a foul.
5 fouls in 8 minutes of playing time. Ginobili with the runner from the baseline. So Manu Ginobili has 9 points, 62-44. And the Spurs playing at home, capable of chipping away. As you say, try to get it to single digits if you can. Here is Jason Terry with a smooth jumper. And Terry now with his second basket of the game. So right now they're trading baskets with 2.5 minutes gone in the third.
Well, if I'm Avery Johnson and the Mavericks, I'll take that. You're up 20.
I guess. Horry. And the basket counts in the foul. He looks down for plays for certain players and takes a look at them and calls them during the timeout. So I wonder if that was a play for Robert Horry.
Well, we know he does have one play for Robert Horry, which I was shocked at, that Robert Horry would have any kind of play drawn for him. But it must have worked. He got fouled on it.
There's Bowen on Nowitzki, knocking it away. Now Duncan on Nowitzki. Here is Terry trying to get free, and great defense as Ginobili was all over Terry. Here is Parker working against Josh Howard. He's got the layup, and it's apparent now as Avery Johnson calls timeout.
Tony Parker.
And a great timeout called by Avery Johnson. Doesn't want the Spurs to get ahead of steam here. Wanted to talk things over to hurry. Terry gets free and hits the shot. So the timeout and the basket by Terry. And it's 66-48.
Jason Terry got away with an offensive foul right there, pushing off Tim Duncan coming off that pick and roll.
Parker harassed by Harris. Mavericks with 4 team fouls, so they could be headed into the penalty early in this third quarter. Here is Duncan against Dampier, who has 3 fouls. Duncan getting the field goal. Duncan now with 18, his first basket, second half.
Well, there's 8 minutes left in this ballgame. You're down by 16. If I'm the Spurs, I got to continue to keep the defensive pressure up. 2 by 2, as we call it. Want to get 2 by 2.
Harris. Basket counts and a foul. Well, Steve Jabby, the lead official tonight, as Harris misses the free throws. And the crowd, these are very fine people here in San Antonio, but unfortunately I cannot repeat what their chant was seconds ago.
And just the way he is walking, he's shooting pretty good, but he's just not moving the same way. He's not attacking the same way that we know Tony Parker is capable of attacking.
I mean, incredibly quick, as you know.
Yes. Reggie,
getting into the paint, and you know, opposing coaches say we got to stop that penetration, and we have not seen it that much for that reason. 7:20 remaining in the third quarter. And the shot missed by Terry. Here's Parker pushing it up. And Harris forces him to slow down. Parker goes up, travels. Otto Ginobili getting fixed up as a fighter is between rounds.
Where's Freddie Pacheco at? Where's the fight doctor at when you need him?
Here's Harris knocked away by Horry, and it was deflected, and Harris getting the basket. So Devin Harris starting tonight, 12 points and no turnovers. So giving Avery Johnson the spark he needed, and giving the Dallas Mavericks that early speed that set the tone tonight. Here's Parker inside.
Duncan, that should have been a foul.
Has come in, and so Jop with his 5 fouls is in the game at center. And Parker nearly has the ball taken away. Quickly goes into the corner. Good ball movement. Barry for 3, and he's got it. Brent Barry with the 3-point basket as time ran out in Game 2 against Sacramento to send that game into overtime, which the Spurs won.
Maybe that'll be a jump start for this Spurs bench. Big stop here. Big possession for the Mavericks. Could be a big stop for the Spurs.
Nearly halfway through this third quarter. Barry against Stackhouse on the matchup. Stackhouse with a fall-away hitting. So Mark Cuban has seen his players hitting open jumpers every time the Spurs have made a run. Stackhouse now with 15. Finley down low to Duncan. Howard double teams him with Job, who has 5 fouls. 9 on the shot clock. Finley with a runner.
And Dirk Nowitzki did a terrible job of closing out right there. You can't allow the blow-by for him to get into the paint. Close out in the stance. Make him shoot over you. You're 7 feet.
15-point lead. Biggest lead was 22 by Dallas. They were up by 20, the Mavericks were at halftime. Here is Nowitzki going up, losing balance. The ball tipped and taken down by Finley. Here's Barry. And the crowd hoping the Spurs can get back into this game. Jop is fronting Duncan. Double team to Duncan. And Bowen saves it nicely. The 4 on the shot clock, and Finley loses it.
Good defense by Josh Howard. Better hustle by Ghana Jop.
And Howard with the drive, blocking foul is called at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Nothing to do with Dallas. Dallas game plan, continue the same. They're going to keep playing the same way.
22 for Howard. And the point is, they started this game by being the aggressors and have never really let up. "17-point lead for the Mavericks. Here is Finley for three. Duncan with the offensive rebound. Going up strong and scores. Tim Duncan bothered by the plantar fasciitis in his right foot and was waiting for the moment to play as he did in game number one, and now says, let's go for it. It's playoff time. I'm not going to worry about biding my time with less playing time because of injuries. He's giving it all now. Here is Nowitzki into Jop.
Right thing by putting him on the line. He hasn't shot all game.
1 out of 2 for Sagana Jop. 75-59. The Mavericks leading. The only lead tonight with the Spurs. The first free throw of the game by Tim Duncan to make it 1-0. Otherwise, it's been all the Mavericks. Finley with a drive. Doesn't go. With 3:45 left on the clock in the third quarter.
You get the benefit of the doubt calls.
Eva Longoria.
With the rest of this crowd.
Well, I didn't read the lips.
You don't read lips?
Not that time. Wearing that number 9 you see around her neck for Tony Parker. Meanwhile, Josh Howard with 24 points. 3.5 to go here in the third. Duncan against Jop. Next foul will be his 6th. Good ball movement. Bowen for 3.
And that is Bruce Bowen's sweet spot. He doesn't shoot a lot of shots, but when he does, they're from the corners. Corner threes.
9th in three-point shooting this year. 3 years ago led the league. Terry fighting his way in. Jason Terry, who got off to a slow start tonight with foul trouble, has 8 points. And it's a 17-point lead. So the Spurs playing with a lot more energy here in the third quarter. But the Dallas Mavericks are answering every surge the Spurs have had.
Every run, the Mavericks are answering.
Duncan, double team, stolen away by Terry. 3-on-2 break. Stackhouse can't convert. And a good job done by Josh Howard to prevent the outlet pass from Duncan.
That's traveling. David Jones inadvertently calls because he thought he was going to pick it up and it was going to be traveling. But he didn't pick it up. So they huddle. It's an inadvertent whistle and it's a jump ball.
Controlled by the Spurs.
New 24.
2.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. The Spurs have hit 9 of 12 from the field here in this quarter, but have made up only 3 points on the deficit. Here is Duncan going in, and he scores. Good reverse move by Tim Duncan, who has 22.
Well, if I'm the Spurs, I'm going to Tim Duncan every single time because Ghana Jop is not going to guard him because he has 5 fouls. So if you can get shots like that each time down the floor, you have to take them and let your defense come up with some stops.
Terry off the rim. Under 2 minutes to go. 15-point lead.
Get back into Tim Duncan.
Mavericks are up by 20 at intermission. Sagana Jop with 5 fouls.
He has them.
Playing behind Tim Duncan. And Ginobili steps back for the 3, in and out. Tipped by Duncan, along with Howard, Marquise Daniels, Devin Harris, and Jerry Stackhouse.
And this is a mismatch.
Daniels.
Are you kidding me? There's no way Nazir Muhammad can guard Marquise Daniels 20 feet away from the basket.
Muhammad with Ginobili, Finley, Duncan, and Parker. And Finley very nearly lost the ball, and now the Spurs do lose the ball. And here comes Devin Harris, a big part of the dominating lead by the Mavericks tonight. Howard open for 3, and he hits it. A big one for the Dallas Mavericks, and their bench celebrating on its feet. 27 points for Howard, his second 3 of the game. And once again, the lead is 20.
And one player made that, Devin Harris. Secondary break, brought it back out. Ginobili pressured him. He got into the teeth and found Josh Howard.
And here's Duncan against Dirk Nowitzki. Foul. Segment of this game occurred when Duncan picked up his 3rd foul in the second quarter. And the Spurs did not get a field goal.
Spurs couldn't score.
The rest of the half, about 7 minutes.
Well, this is a different series for Tim Duncan. Sharif Abdul-Rahim put so much defensive pressure on him because of his offensive prowess. There's no one on the Mavs that are going to put that kind of pressure on him. So he's being more aggressive offensively.
20 seconds to go in the third quarter. Stackhouse. Rebound by Duncan. So the Spurs playing for the last shot of the third quarter. Mavericks have already scored 84 points, one fewer than they scored in game one. Parker, and great interception by Devin Harris as he anticipated that pass. No basket. And tonight they have outscored the Spurs by 11 in fast break points thanks to a 15-2 edge in converting turnovers into points.
Well, that's been part of the game plan. Avery Johnson talked about we want to speed up the game. Easy basket opportunities.
Manu Ginobili working his way in, Cutlet and all, and gets into double figures with 11 points to start the scoring. So it's Devin Harris along with Josh Howard, Marquise Daniels, Dirk Nowitzki, and Jerry Stackhouse for the Mavericks. Looking to tie the series at 1 apiece, going home to the American Airlines Center for the next 2 games. Daniels, and deflected by Duncan. Follow up by Daniels. So good persistence paying off for the Mavericks.
Well, the Spurs are small. Tim Duncan comes out and gets the block. Someone else has to get the rebounds, but you have Ginobili, who's at 6'7", the next biggest guy. You guys got to keep guys off the board to go after the rebound.
And Finley, Bowen, and Udrih make up the rest of the starting 5. So this is really a small team out there for the Spurs.
Well, it's an offensive team as well. It's a team that can get you back in the game because they can make threes. So, but they got to come up with stops to get the ball so they can create opportunities for themselves.
9 on the shot clock. Duncan out to meet Nowitzki. Bowen is on Stackhouse. Duncan now on Stackhouse on the switch and gets the reverse layup. So Jerry Stackhouse, 24 points to lead the Mavericks in game 1, has 17. Second to Josh Howard's 27 tonight.
Well, I said that the Mavericks needed 30-plus point quarters. They started with 26, had 32 in the second, came back with 26. So they're right on target. This is exactly what they're looking to do. Try to score at least 25 or so a quarter. Put offensive pressure on the Spurs.
That's what Avery Johnson said, Reggie. He said, I'm really concerned about scoring. He doesn't have the concerns right at the moment. Ginobili getting his second field goal of the fourth quarter. Beno Udrih.
It's a 1-on-4. It's a 1-on-4. You know, it's not Tony Parker splitting. That's, Udrih. Take it out. Let's go back down to Tim Duncan.
Harris working against Udrih and the foul called. Harris on the line.
Well, this is a tale now. You've gone to a small lineup. You've gone to a perimeter offense with Ginobili and Finley, Beno, and Bruce Bowen. Let's try to get Tim Duncan down low. Obviously, he can get whatever he wants.
Ginobili with the runner. Finley keeps it alive and tips it in on the high tip. Michael Finley. And the lead is 18. The problem is time. A factor when you're down by this much against a good team.
Well, you can't trade baskets. You got to come up with stops. You got to get a little lucky here, too.
Harris goes back to Daniels with 8 on the shot clock. Nowitzki. And Dirk Nowitzki softly puts it through, his 17th point.
And he hasn't tried to force anything with Bruce Bowen on him. He's kind of taken what's been given to him.
He has not needed to really carry the load tonight. Double team on Duncan. Good rotation defensively by the Mavericks.
Every time Tim Duncan got it.
Game moves on here in the fourth quarter. And the coach of the year, Avery Johnson, richly deserved. Not only are the Mavericks trying to even this best of 7 at 1 apiece, trying to reverse a recent trend. They have lost 5 of the last 6 games here in San Antonio and 7 of the last 10 overall. So the Spurs have had the Mavericks number, and this would go a long way to showing it's a new Dallas team in town. Stackhouse going up with this on Duncan. You can see him shaking his head. 12 of 14 from the line, but 4 fouls.
Smart move by Dan. Very smart. You're not going to get called for it. Use that big body. his replacement, who also has 5 fouls, who, if I'm the Spurs, continue to go to Duncan because they don't want to pick up their 6th. They don't want to bring in DJ Binga to guard Tim Duncan.
Duncan with the jumper. Eight of 9.
So basically right now, if I'm the Spurs, you've got to come up with a stop every other time and convert at the other end to get back into this ball game with a little over 7.5 minutes left.
Barry picks it up. 2-on-1 to Finley. No foul? Yes. Possibility now for a long series, and you want to quell any kind of serious temper situations. Brent Barry hitting a 3, so Bowen and Barry each have hit 2, and it is a 14-point game with 7 minutes, 20 seconds remaining, and the first time this half that the Spurs have gotten the deficit under 15 points, but the lay-in by Harris with 16 points. Every time San Antonio gives the crowd some hope, the Mavericks have an answer.
And I'm really shocked at the Spurs' interior defense. It's been a straight line.
It's on 6 of 12 shooting. Parker guarded by Harris. Duncan working on Job. Job getting the rebound. Parker trying to get Job 6th foul.
That was close to it being his 6th foul right there.
Parker trying to head off Harris. Pick and roll. Howard setting it up there, and the drive and the foul. And really holding on to that right arm. Brent Barry was
series with Sacramento where a lot of them got beat up. Fonzie Wells, Ron Artest, 2 physical players, really instilled their will on them in that 6th game. You know, that's why you try to eliminate games and teams as soon as possible.
Meanwhile, 18 points for Devin Harris. Barry with the fall away over Stackhouse. So Barry hitting a 3 and now a 2. Playing with 5 fouls, has 10. So it's a 16-point lead and just about halfway through this 4th quarter. Manu Ginobili admitted his legs were tired. Of course, he got hit in the mouth in this game. Parker not 100%. And that one drops through for Harris again. 20 points for Devin Harris, making the most of his start in this game. Remember, he only started 4 in the regular year and missed 19 of the last 30 games with a thigh injury. Parker tries to get it up there, and Job gets a piece of it.
And you know, like I said, Tony Parker's gait doesn't look like it normally is. He doesn't have that explosion going to the hole. And he's trying to put pressure back on Devin Harris, but it just isn't there. I'm sure Papa's going to enjoy these next 2 days off before they play again on Saturday.
Stackhouse, who has hit 3 threes from the corner,
made their changes in game 2. I'm curious to see, and we all know how great Popovich is. He's a great technician. He's going to dissect this tape and come up with all kinds of answers for game 3.
Barry has the shot deflected by Sagana Diop. So the centers, who had more fouls than points, 3 of them for the Mavericks in game 1, picking up another slew of fouls here in game number 2, but it's not affecting the Mavericks' performance the least bit. Kickball.
It depends on the health of Tony Parker. Is it going to be the old Tony Parker or the banged up Tony Parker? But Ginobili has to be that guy for them.
3 on the shot clock, and Ginobili all over Nowitzki. And that's the kind of game it's been. So here's the clock running out, and the Mavericks really with no offensive play to speak of, and Manu Ginobili doing good defensive job, and Nowitzki hits it at the shot clock buzzer.
Yeah, when it rains, it pours. Everything is going right now for the Mavericks, but you know, like I've always said, it's only 1 game. Yes, they've come in here and stolen home court advantage, but the Spurs, you don't win 60-plus games by not winning on the road. So you won there during the regular season. People got to look themselves in the mirrors on that Spurs bench, but they're capable of doing it. Like I said, they're the world champions. They know how to win on the road.
Barry lays it in, and I think the comments that Greg Popovich said to us after he got the team going, because all the disadvantages because of the short turnaround in game number 1, he says, I worry about the emotional aggressiveness, that it won't be there in game 2, and it was well-founded.
It wasn't. And, you know, Coach Popovich is a smart man. He definitely understands the psyche of his own team. He understands their tendencies and what they
instead of suffering a letdown.
He is going home to friendly confines. They do play and run much better at home, and they ran fantastic tonight. So they're going to a place where the crowd is going to be energized, the city is going to be energized. They've got that one mental block out of their head. Can they beat this team in the playoffs? And it's only one game, but it does go a long way for the psyche of the Mavericks.
No question about it, as Beno Udrih hits the jumper and the starters are on the bench. So it doesn't appear that home court is going to be strictly adhered in this series, and that includes the next 2 games in Dallas. But it does appear as if this series is going to be a long one and an exciting one.
Well, and if I'm the Clippers or the Suns, I'm thinking, you know, if we can hurry up and finish business and try to get some rest, because these 2 teams are going to bloody each other up.
You're absolutely right. It's always a battle of attrition, as you well know. I mean, ready to tie this series up. And tomorrow night, game 2 in the other Western Conference playoff. Udrih foul. Devin Harris getting the start in his 2nd season, combining for 47.
Well, and like I said, they wanted to get, Avery Johnson has to be happy about that. Speeding up the tempo, making this Spurs team play baseline to baseline.
And then Tim Duncan, who had a brilliant game, 28 points, 9 rebounds, picked up his 3rd foul. The Spurs could not get a basket the rest of the half. More than 6 minutes in total. But the Mavericks were in control even before that foul. Mauricio Alberto with his first shot.
Well, we know the Spurs team, they're very prideful. Obviously, they are the world champions. 60-plus wins this year. So they know that they can go into American Airlines Arena and win ball games, especially playoff pressure-packed ball games they've done for the last few years.
Franchise record 63 wins for the Spurs. And as Terry hits the 3, the Mavericks with 60 wins, matching their all-time win total. And only the 3rd time you've had 2 teams with 60 or more wins matched up in a conference semifinal.
Well, you know, everyone's, you know, especially on the Dallas side, is boo-hooing because they got to go against, you're going to have to play them.
This arena with thousands of empty seats in the final minutes of a playoff game. It hasn't been that way for quite a long time.
Well, it started with the jump ball, layups, Josh Howard, Devin Harris. They set the tone, and they kept it for 48 minutes.
Udrih with the layup. So the Mavericks, you talk about teams making adjustments. They made a lineup adjustment tonight, which paid off, and an aggressive adjustment, knowing they needed more scoring. And now we'll see what the Spurs do Saturday in game number 3. So we wind down to a minute remaining in this game, and the Dallas Mavericks with a convincing victory over the San Antonio Spurs. Josh Powell, the rookie from North Carolina State, getting a chance here. And Udrih hit by Adrian Griffin.
Yeah, that's when Dirk Nowitzki colors, hitting those big shots in game 6 in Dallas to clinch it.
So under a minute remaining. And Jerry Stackhouse with 19. He's on the bench. 3 players with more than 20 and 19 for Stackhouse. Big effort for the Mavericks, and it did not matter that their centers got into foul trouble again. Here's Benga. And this is about as quiet as I think anyone has ever heard.
He's, like I said, he's a great motivator. He's great with X's and O's, and he's going to let the chips fall where they may. But, you know, I think the Spurs team plays better on the road than they really do at home. It's that bunker mentality, us against the world. 12 against 20,000, and I think they like the odds there.
Steal by Darrell Armstrong, and the veteran lays it in. So Darrell Armstrong, in his 12th year, one-time 6th man of the year, 113-91. And Armstrong going for another steal, 113. And you're looking at a team that was second to the Memphis Grizzlies.
Speed up the game.
Allowing only 89 points. They did it. The wave from Avery Johnson. He got what he needed. First playoff win in San Antonio since May 27th. and 2003, and the series is tied 1 game apiece.